Hazy podcast is brought to you by EKtheDJ and Michael Reid. Join them each season as they discuss the adventures contained in various audiobooks. This season, they'll be providing reactionary commentary on the So I Got Hazed audiobook by Michael Reid.
How long are we supposed to hold this?
I don't know. I thought you were going to start with the intro. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on? Welcome once again to the Hazy podcast.
Whoop whoop.
We are here to read more awesome stories from this book. So They Got Hazed.
Which sections tonight? Sex and humor.
Sex and humor.
It's all humorous, but...
it's all humorous. And all true stories.
That it is.
So here we go. We are recording this on Canadian Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
That is our recording date. It is Canadian Thanksgiving, which is
Canadian Thanksgiving. It's October 11th today.
Which is interesting because this story is about American Thanksgiving.
I didn't even plan that. But that's great. Thanks,
and its
Ron
character
Russo.
is Ron Russo. It was Thanksgiving, and Ron had all It was Thanksgiving, and Ron had all partied a little too hard. What?
It was Thanksgiving, and Ron had partied a little too hard.
I see. There's an extra word in my copy of the book. It threw me off.
Ah, you have one of the very rare copies.
He told everyone that he wasn't drunk. He was so well composed when he said it that he wasn't questioned. After that, he decided to drive home. He didn't want to take any of the main roads in fear of a DUI, so he took a shortcut. He got lost and ended up in an unfamiliar neighborhood. Out of mental energy and completely drunk, Ron passed out at a stop sign beside a park. When he woke up, a cop was ripping him out of his car. He had a .16 BAC and was charged with his first DUI. Which means that the keys were in the ignition and he was in the driver's seat.
Oh, yeah.
So he fell asleep at a stop sign.
Yes. But this is also the guy that drunkenly went into the wrong house, ate food out of the kitchen, fell asleep on the sofa, and got woken up by the homeowner who was calling the cops and screaming at him. So, nobody's perfect.
At school, one of the weirdest common, very forgivable occurrences was someone drunkenly walking into your place thinking that it was theirs. Especially if you left your door unlocked and you lived in the apartments.
Mm-hmm.
There's always just people like, dude came into the apartment in the middle of the night, pissed, realized he was in the wrong place and left.
Yeah. Because you're just so fucked up, you don't even notice.
And you pee, and then you wake up, you're like, oh, this is not my bathroom. I'm going to leave quietly.
So the next one I had already read, so we're just going to skip to 73, which is VT security.
Okay.
Which I feel as though I've also told this story so many times that I can't remember if I've told it on a podcast or not.
Find out.
My cup tonight is coffee makes me poop.
Oh, okay.
VT security. One semester, my fraternity landed a contract to assist with the security at Virginia Tech football games. We needed to bring at least 12 people to work each time there was an event, just to maintain the contract. There was a night before one of these games that John Knowles ate and gave away magic mushrooms like hotcakes. To keep himself going for the next day, he took some more before we got to Virginia Tech. When we showed up to the stadium, we were met by the security director. She was a crotchety old woman. We followed her down a long corridor where we were given our bright yellow security shirts when we showed up. When I say bright yellow, I mean Big Bird yellow. But for the next half hour, she told us that we had the most critical job in the stadium. She said that if the football players were simply a backdrop and that we were the main show. She also said, our yellow shirts would allow us to walk around the stadium if we needed to. So this woman was out of her fucking mind. And she basically thought security was the most important job there. But knowing that the crazy yellow shirt lady had given us and bestowed these yellow shirts upon us, gave us the ability to walk around like we were the shit too. So,
yeah, you had all the power.
yeah, I had all the fake power of this yellow shirt. So after her introduction, she left us to take tickets outside the stadium. After the major crowd of ticket holders had gotten into their seats, my fraternity was repositioned. 10 of them, including a hallucinating John Knowles, were stationed in one part of the stadium, and my fraternity brother Brock and I were left alone on the other side of the stadium. For whatever reason, my entire fraternity gets stationed on one side, and Brock and I are left alone on the other. I had to go to the bathroom, and I got to piss in the players' locker room. On the way out, a huge player almost ran over me. It felt as though he were 9 feet tall because he towered over me in his uniform and cleats. When I got back, I said, Brock, we should go to the bar. When he asked me, he said, when? He asked me. Now, you got a shirt on, right? Yeah, he said, let's go. This will never work. Sure it will, I said. We don't need tickets to leave and come back. We only need our security shirts. It was the perfect plan. We went into the bathroom, took off our security shirts, and we were plainclothed again. We walked out of the stadium, right by the other security guards we had been working with. We went to the bar and drank for an hour, watching the game on the TV. By watching the game, we knew exactly when we had to start heading back. We got hammered together. We drank a pitcher, did shots, car bombs, and ate wings. On the way back, we put our yellow shirts back on. When we walked to the security gates, we were welcomed by the other staff. I asked, hey, do you know where the Sig H fraternity is? They hadn't seen us leave in the yellow shirts, so they figured we were late or something. They had no idea. They told us where our fraternity was, and we met up with them inside the stadium. When we got there, all the guys could tell we were wasted. They asked where we were, and we said we were on the other side of the stadium. This is when the woman came back up to us. We thought we were busted. She said, okay, is this everyone? Let's get you up on the other side of the stadium in the stands. When the game is almost over, come down to the grass. If they rush the field, we stop them. This woman is nuts. Excuse me. I'm dying over here. I thought this bitch was out of her fucking mind. If a horde of people charged onto the field, I wasn't going to stop
I'm running
them.
the other direction. You're
Absolutely. It was impossible. The game finished without a problem, and the mean old lady lit up and thanked us for our hard work. When we drove back to Radford, Brock and I told the rest of the guys where we were during the game. One of the fraternity brothers was pissed, but nobody liked him, so it wasn't a big deal. All of the other brothers, including John Knowles, who was coming down from 2 days of mushrooms, thought it was the greatest job scam ever. Brock and I spent more in the bar than our 2 bodies earned for the fraternity that day, but the memory is priceless. That is one of my favorite memories from college, period. Just like,
that's a pretty awesome story.
Leaving and being able to come back and it didn't really impact anybody. That was a great story.
Good story. Sunshine, showers.
Oh, can I just pause? The bar we went to was Sharky's.
Oh, of course.
Yes,
Sharky's.
because it was right beside the stadium, so you could like...
Makes sense. Yeah. Sunshine showers. Characters are Michelle and Sunshine. One of our sweethearts named Michelle had a bird named Sunshine. Everyone except for her hated that damn bird. Her bird used to poop on everything in sight and was vicious when outside of its cage. Michelle started dating a guy when she graduated, and one night they got wasted together. When she was asleep, her date had to go to the bathroom. He opened up the bird cage and pissed in it. The bird started screaming at him, so he started peeing on the bird to shut it up. Michelle woke up to her bird getting a golden shower. She screamed, "Sunshine!" She freaked out, kicked her date out, and spent the night trying to clean her bird's feathers. After that day, it became even more nefarious, but despite all its rage, it was still just a bird in a cage.
And I know we've read that story before, but I do not care. It's
that story. That bird is pictured in our intro video.
It is, and that's how I know we've read this before, because we've talked about this I don't know how many times, but I don't care. I love that little bird story. It ended up flying away and escaping years later.
The world is yours.
Cassandra was selling a house, and it happened to be beside where Sunshine and that person lived. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
girl was sitting out on her deck crying when Cassandra was showing the house. And she was like, "Have you seen Sunshine?" And they hadn't talked in years. And she's like, "No, sorry. I feel bad that you're having this like terrible moment right now. But I'm showing a house. See you later. Bye."
Ouch.
The world is yours. Me, Dave Matthews, John Mayer, Nas, New Alpha, and Paul.
What a cast.
What a cast. Nas is one of the greatest hip hop lyricists of my time. In my last semester at Radford, I had the pleasure of working as security at the Virginia Tech concert. The New Alpha fraternity had a contract to perform security at the event. The problem was the several of their brothers were out of town and they needed help. Paul Knox was in the New Alpha fraternity and asked if I could help. The performers were Dave Matthews, John Mayer, and Nas. How could I say no? Our positions were assigned to us when we arrived at the stadium by a member of the concert's production staff. I was positioned on the ground level of the VIP area of the stage. It was the best possible spot I could be placed in. I had never worked security at a concert before, only at bars. It was awesome. Throughout the night, women would flash me and try to get into the VIP area. I was able to refuse all of them, but the flow of breasts became too... Oh, sorry. I was able to refuse almost all of them, but the flow of breasts became too overpowering. I cracked and let a few beautiful women into the VIP area. There were no seats left in the VIP area, so I have no idea where any of these women sat down, but they disappeared into the bright lights. So there was like a grass sitting stadium seating area right in front of the stage because we had to disassemble all the chairs afterwards. And then everybody up on the stadium. Ironically, the two stories I've read tonight are both me performing security in the Virginia Tech Stadium.
That is interesting.
That's kind of coincidence. It's cool. Thanksgiving, coincidences.
I like it.
I do love it.
It looks like we got... All right, so Snowed In is next with Avery and Seth.
You get why this is funny, right? Because it's like a secret story, and it's called Snowden. Go ahead.
I woke up in the early hours of the morning to a stream of text messages. A few of my fraternity brothers got stuck in a house for 3 days with girls that they had scooped up from the bar. Here are the texts from my brother Emmett. "Hey Mike, this is terrible. You don't need to reply. We rented a house for the weekend and went boarding. The first night we all brought home chicks from the bar. A fucking Turkish miracle. Well, the next day when we opened our front door, snow was piled up so high that we couldn't get out. When we turned on the news, it said the park would be shut down for 3 days. We were all trapped together for 72 hours with Avery's handicapped dog. This was a recipe for mass suicide. None of us got along with these girls that we brought home. Bad decisions were made. One of these girls let Avery take his beard trimmer to her pussy at 3 a.m. Yesterday was rough. We played board games and watched TV all day. The girl that got shaved didn't say a word all day. She just sat in silence. I think she half hated Avery and half wanted to make sure she made it out alive. Anyways, I thought this would make you laugh. I guess the moral of this story is that you can never bring a girl home from the bar that you can't be trapped with for 24 hours. 72 hours.
Yes, that's like an amazing point. Don't bring somebody home from the bar that you're not willing to get trapped with.
Wow. That's a good story. I don't think I heard that one.
Well, good. That means that it's not a repeater. That's what I'm trying to avoid as we get narrowed down in the last couple stories of this book. Because we want to have Knowles on and read all of the stories that he's in.
Right.
But he's got some stuff going on, so he's a busy man.
Our next one is Church Goer. Corbin and Trevor. After they'd long since graduated, Corbin and Trevor went on a road trip to Radford together. On the way there, they got absolutely plastered. After pounding down beer, Corbin had to pee. Corbin was bursting and screaming at Trevor to pull over whenever they could. Luckily, Trevor saw an exit and they got off right away. They were heading towards a gas station where Corbin said, "Bro, you got to pull off right here. I'm already peeing." Trevor pulled into the empty church parking lot that Corbin was pointing to. Before his car had fully stopped, Corbin had already unzipped his pants, opened the car door, and started peeing. He continued peeing while running sideways towards one of the church's walls. While Corbin was peeing, a woman ran out of the church and started screaming at him. Corbin ran back to Trevor Martin's car, still peeing mid, mind you, and they sped away. As they sped down the highway back on their path to Radford, Corbin threw his piss-covered jeans out the car window.
So he's already peeing his pants. They pull off in the car. He's holding his dick, pissing as he's running towards the church. He sees a woman, turns around, runs away, still pissing the entire time. Quite the story. Used.
Next one is
Hungry Hippo?
Hungry Hippo.
Oh, yes.
He's got you, Farley, and a Hungry Hippo. On Farley's 20th birthday, he wanted to get royally fucked up. The fraternity threw him a birthday bash. We had liquor kegs, beer kegs, and 10 gallons of shooters for all the guests. We had all started drinking about 2 hours before the party. Farley had a giant goblet that he filled with shooter mix. I remember this story. Each time the goblet was close to being empty, Farley had to pledge refill it. This was dangerous because the shooter mix was a creeper. Throughout the night, people kept offering Farley birthday shots. Instead of taking shots, Farley would chug from his goblet. People sang happy birthday to him about 8 times that night. Each time they sang, he'd also pound his goblet back. There was a point in the night when Farley stumbled around the party. We thought he was pretty drunk at the time, but he was actually blacked out. When Farley was stumbling around, he was spotted by a hefty sexual predator. When I say hefty, this girl was barely 5 feet tall and over 205 pounds. Like a hungry hippo jumping onto a marble, this chub train ran over to Farley. You always make me read the most offensive stories.
Listen, this is how the story was recounted, repeated the next day. As more drunken stories were told, then he's like, no, maybe it didn't happen. And then we're all like, bro, you can't take it back. This is what happened. This is what's said. I'm sorry if it offends any trains out there that happen to be medium size, plus size, or chub trained.
She screamed, "Hey, it's your birthday. Let's go upstairs." That's literally all she said to him. Farley didn't need any convincing and started following her upstairs. I couldn't let him go down like that, and I ran up behind him. I grabbed his hand and said, "Dude, what are you doing? Don't go up there." I didn't need to get into specifics with him. He knew what I was trying to communicate without hurting the girl's feelings. Farley said, "I don't care." He kept walking upstairs. He and the girl went into a bedroom and closed the door behind them. After a few minutes, they walked out of the room together and started heading down the stairs. This was when the hippo took a dive. Farley was already at the bottom of the stairs when this girl tripped. We all watched in amazement as this huge girl tumbled down every stair of the house, ripping every single paddle and picture frame off the wall as she fell. Jesus.
Like clawing at everything and taking it all down with her.
It sounded like an avalanche as this poor girl clawed at anything she could to stop the inevitable. She even broke some of the banisters of the railings as she fell. When she finally came to a crashing halt at the bottom of the stairs, a swarm of drunken people surrounded her. A few people said, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Farley didn't even check in on her. He used this opportunity to slip back into the crowded party. He wanted nothing to do with the embarrassment that had happened behind him. The girl was okay and she left the party. Farley drunkenly told us that he fucked her brains out. Even in his drunken state, he made sure that he'd used a condom. It was his fault that they were rushing out of the room. When they finished having sex, the girl wanted to cuddle. Farley was not about that cuddle life and said, "Let's go back downstairs and join back in on the party." That was probably the most exercise this girl had gotten in a long time. It's like he had set her up for failure by walking her up and down the flights of stairs twice. The next morning, he told us that he remembered being so drunk that she looked slimmer than she was, and she still looked like a linebacker. He just didn't care at that point in the night. He wanted to get his dick wet on his 20th birthday. Jesus. So mean to the big girls. Farley was a big dude. Farley was a big dude,
that's
and
what
like
the
that's how
hysterical-
fucked up this story is because like it's so offensive towards this big girl, and Farley was easily pushing 300. She was a linebacker. She's 100 pounds less than him. She was a linebacker.
I guess proportionately, that's still equal to any of our hookups or anything. Oh man,
So obscene.
that's...
I always have to read the offensive ones.
they're all offensive. It's not like any is more offensive than the next. They're collectively offensive.
Next one's you.
And we're yawning. We're yawning while we're telling these offensive stories because we've heard them 100 times. We are old, and it is late every time we're doing this. We're sorry.
It's the only time both of us are free.
Okay. Used. It's me and Sarah. There were a few times in college when I was an absolute degenerate drunk. One night, a girl I was seeing showed up after one of our parties. She knocked on my door until I let her in. She wanted a booty call. The problem was that I had run out of condoms, and she was one of those, you have to use a condom if you want to fuck me kind of girls. I told her I was way too drunk to go out and buy condoms. I wanted to sleep. She wanted the dick, though. She said that she would be right back, and she was going to go run to 7-Eleven. I don't know how long she was gone, because the moment she left, I went back to sleep. I woke up to her coming back into the room, saying that she got the condoms, and she was holding the box in her hand so proudly. I started to fall back asleep, and she took off my pants. I was so wasted, I could barely participate as she forcefully fucked me. Oh, this is rape. This is a rape story. I'm reading this and I'm like, wow, I got raped. She put the condom on my dick and rode me until she came. When she finished, she took the condom off me, brought a towel over, and cleaned me up like I was in a massage parlor. Then she turned off the lights, closed my door, and left. It was nights like that made me appreciate being a frat boy in college. But really, I got raped.
A rape, dude.
I got raped.
That's a rape story.
That's a rape story. She even cleaned up the evidence. She's like, here you go. Here's a towel. Here you can clean up the blood stain yourself.
Clean yourself off.
Yeah.
What the... Jesus
Can you clean
Christ.
my DNA off you?
Dude, these stories are horrible. What?
Yeah, you're complaining that the last one's bad, and then I just told you that I got raped.
Wait, hold on a second. You know what? This is some bonus content here.
Okay.
Some bonus content. There were times in college when I was an absolute degenerate drunk. One night, a girl I was seeing showed up after one of our parties. You hear how different this story becomes if you tell it in tone.
That's true. If you tell it like a private investigator, then it sounds very rapey. Here, let's go back.
I woke up to her coming back into the room saying she got the condoms. I started to fall back asleep, and she took off my pants. I was so wasted I could barely participate, and she forcefully tried to fuck me. You see, it changes the entire tone.
I started to fall back asleep as she took off my pants. I was so wasted I could barely participate as she forcefully tried to fuck me. She put the condom on my dick and rode me until she came. When she finished, she took the condom off me, brought a towel over, and cleaned me up like I was in a massage parlor. Then she turned off the lights, closed my door, and left. I never saw the dame again.
Yeah, that's a great delivery. That's the way you got to read the rest of the book, I think.
I can't read the next one like that. It hurts my throat too much. Cheater.
All right.
Farley, Jenny, Seth, and Summer. When two people you know are dating and one of them starts cheating, sometimes you have to mind your own business. One of my fraternity's sweethearts, named Summer, was dating one of my fraternity brothers named Seth. Summer was a goddamn queen, a 20 out of 10. She still is, by the way. It was awful that everyone in the frat knew. Seth had cheated on her, but she didn't know. It made most of us just want to avoid both of them completely. Seth cheated on all of his girlfriends to move on to the next one. He had cheated on Sarah to get with Summer, so Summer almost should have known better. Seth had been cheating on Summer with a few different girls, but one night she found out he was sleeping with Jenny. Since alcohol is always involved in a college environment, things escalated. Summer and Jenny got into a fight in front of one of our Sig H green light houses. The house's porch light was green, hence the name. The girls scrapped in the middle of the street. A cop showed up almost instantly. Instead of breaking it up, he yelled at Stan Farley to break it up. He said that if Farley didn't break it up, the cop was taking him to jail. By this point, Summer had some sort of extendable rod and was threatening to kill Jenny with it. I love that the Radford cop is like,
Yo, you break that up.
Biggest guy, you have to break this up or I'm taking you to jail. Doesn't even talk to the girls. Farley came into the street and grabbed Summer. She hit him once with the extendable. Unfortunately, he just had to take one for the team. Then he pulled her back into the house to calm her down. Seth and Summer stopped dating that night. He started dating Jenny the next week. Summer was perfect, and Seth really missed out. It's true.
Damn.
True.
I love these stories. I really do. It's crazy, like, how much we've grown up in 20 years.
Hey, I found the story that I was missing. Can I read it?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how I haven't grown up after this story. Clean your dishes. During one of my crazier periods in life, I lived in a fraternity house. We were all a bunch of fucking delinquents. At the time, we didn't have hot water. Nobody wanted to put their $300 deposit down for the hydro, so we only had the use of cold water. Consequently, the dishes piled up in the kitchen because it was hard to wash dishes with cold water. In an effort to evade responsibility for Dish Mountain, I only ate in the dining halls. I thought the problem would fix itself. Over a few weeks, the dishes piled up into a mound that overflowed from the sink onto the countertops. It was actually embarrassing at parties when people would ask, "Don't you have pledges to clean this up?" Because our kitchen looked awful. At the time, we only had one guy pledging our fraternity, so the idea of having him clean hundreds of dishes with cold water wasn't cool. We had clean cups for the parties, and we had him clean cups for the parties and leave the dishes. It reminded me of when I had to clean dishes at Mitch's house when I was pledging, and the exact same thing happened. And I remember even saying this when we were going through my book, that I was like, what a cheap motherfucker. But then look at who the cheap one was, because I didn't want to lose out on my security deposit. So nobody wanted to put the deposit down on heating, and thus Mitch's dishes had to be washed with cold water. When things were slow, the pledge cleaned plates, but it drove me crazy. The dirty dish mountain was a perpetual problem that continued to bother me day in and day out. One day, I got so fed up that I brought a clean trash can into the house and dumped every plate and utensil into it. I took it outside and hid it behind the house. It was 2 days before anybody asked me what happened to any of the plates. I lied, and I said I threw them out. My roommate Avery freaked out at me and said that he had bought all of those dishes. This wasn't true, but I eventually did tell him where I put them. He brought the trash can back inside and put all of the dirty dishes back into the sink and didn't clean them. Instead of cleaning them, he called the single pledge over to the house. He had him spend the next 5 hours cleaning the fucking dishes with cold water. When I saw the pledge cleaning the dishes, I told him to break 2 dishes for every 1 dish that he cleaned. When I instructed him to hide the evidence somewhere outside that Avery wouldn't find, I didn't want him quitting over some pledging bullshit or waste his time on that particular byproduct of irresponsibility. So, dishes don't bother me as much to this day, but like a dish mountain definitely bothers me.
I can't let my sink get full. I'll lose my mind.
Me too. There's only so many dishes I can handle.
The reason being is from pledging, because that thought of once it's overflowing in the dishpan, it's harder to wash them. It's more of a pain in the ass. It's easier to wash less dishes than it is to wash a mass at the end of the week.
Yeah, now you're putting dirty dishes on the counter. You're running out of space in the clean sink if you have 2 sinks to put it in, or in the little dish rack. No matter what, you're fucked. Are you hand drying all of them now? Like, what a waste of fucking time.
No doubt.
No diggity. I like to bag it up now. I like the way you work it. So yeah, this has been another Hazy podcast. And we're getting our
Yeah.
website back soon. It might not be the best, it might not be the greatest, but we're getting it back. Hooray.
Every couple weeks, there'll be pictures of inappropriate things.
Like what? Like feet?
I don't know. Maybe.
Are feet
You think people
inappropriate?
pay?
People
pay
pay
for
for
pictures?
feet, but does that make feet inappropriate?
I don't think feet are inappropriate.
I mean, there's statues that Michelangelo and other famous artists created with little dinks on them, and they're not
Yeah.
inappropriate.
No. I think we could do feet. I got Flintstone feet.
Well, that's because you don't have a bottom shield to your car.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, we can check out the